Welcome to Linux for the Rest of Us, episode number 71, the show where we talk Linux. And hey, if you never heard of Linux and you just stumbled upon this podcast, don't turn it off. You're about to learn what cool things Linux can do. This is a show for people who want to learn Linux, people who never heard of Linux, people who are really into Linux. It's for everyone. And what we do is we like to bring Linux distros and articles and news and how Linux can fit into your life. It's a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoy the show. Helping us, well, of course, helping us. Every week the man does. He's amazing, and we all know that. Let me introduce the door-to-door geek, Steve McLaughlin from LinuxForTheRestOfUs.com. What's up, Door?
Hey, Steve. Can I ask, how was your holiday?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It was pretty cool. I went to up north a little bit to see my parents, and we just basically sat around and did absolutely nothing. Yeah,
That's a good day.
it is. Oh, and we ate. We ate so much I got sick of food in general, and that doesn't usually happen to me.
Wow.
So, yeah. How about yourself?
Pretty good. The kids were happy. That's all that matters, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my 3-year-old is now at the age where last year, every time we gave him a present, he loved it. And then when we took it away so he could open up another present, he went off like a rocket. This year, though, it was like, as he was opening it, cool, cool. And then he would see like dinosaur or cars or something. And then when he didn't know what it was, he would just go, ooh. And then he was happy to open up the next present.
Oh, cool.
And he'll play with none of them in about, 15 seconds from now.
Oh, man. I guess it's what you have to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I totally expect it now, no matter what we give him. Yeah, that's great. And then he's not going to touch it again. And stuff we don't want him to touch. No, I want it.
Really?
Yeah. It's a no-win.
Sounds like my cats.
Well, trust me, there's a lot of simulators there. Now, if I can only get him to go in a box.
He means that because of what? Like the pictures I've sent? All you can do is buy my cats. You just buy a laptop, and they'll go into the box. I bought a desk chair for my another desk I have here. They went into the box. They love boxes.
Oh, no, I meant a litter box, but...
Oh, okay. All right, let me also introduce a special guest joining us on the show today, Jonathan Nadeau from frostbitemedia.org. What's going on with you, Jonathan?
Oh, not much. How do you enter after that conversation? I mean, geez.
I guess by talking about if you go into a box or not.
Seriously. Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. How was your holiday?
Christmas was fantastic. Christmas Eve, not good. Denver lost. New England won. That's always a bad day.
Oh, yeah. Wait, was I watching then? Was it New Year's Eve?
Yeah. Christmas Eve. Yeah.
I mean, Christmas Eve. Yeah. I've been watching Tebow. He's become very interesting lately.
Tebow is the man. I don't care what anyone has to say about him. That kid's got heart, and he'll play until the last second of the last quarter.
That's what they say. I was watching after he went on that huge winning streak. Some interviews on ESPN, like on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And the sportscasters could not explain about the kid. They finally just gave up trying to rationalize about him, and they're like, he's just special. He's just special. It was pretty cool.
He will not quit. I mean, like 3 weeks ago, they were down by 10, like 7 minutes left. I was like, look, I'm a fan of this kid. There's no way. I shut it off. Someone on Facebook, my wife on Facebook, she's like, you better turn the game on. Someone just said they tied it. I was like, what? And I turned the game on. Sure enough, they tied the game against Chicago. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is insane.
It was.
And then they pulled off the win in overtime. I was like, man, this is ridiculous. There was that show on the NFL Network. I think it's called Soundboard. They had him mic'd up during that game. And they're playing tons of clips of him talking. Man, there couldn't be a nicer guy in the world. He went up to Lance Briggs, and he's like, Mr. Briggs, oh, man. He's like, oh, man, this is an honor to play against you. Oh, I grew up watching you play, man. I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm going to play against you. And I was like, dude, this guy's job is to rip your head off your body. and you're like, oh, I can't believe I get to play against you. I was like, this is crazy. He's just a good kid, you know?
Dude, that's awesome. I would love to hear some of that stuff. I'm gonna tune in that after the show.
Yeah, it's on the NFL Network. It's called Soundboard or Sound Clip, but they make a different player every week, and you can catch them talking during the game and all that stuff. And yeah, I watched it. I was like, man, this is amazing. But yeah, it's a bunch of Tebow haters out there. But
yeah,
you can't You can't knock him, you know.
You can't, that's the thing. You just can't knock him. He's winning.
Yeah, his stats aren't pretty, but he finds a way to win.
That's what's interesting about it. I'm gonna keep my eye on him.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, again, this show is about Linux. I guess we could call it football too. But,
NFL for the rest of us.
I'm sure a lot of people would like that show, actually.
Hey, I'll host it if you want. I'm all for that.
All right, we'll talk. We'll talk. All right, Dora, you usually bring some tidbits for us and a nice little list of things. What's first for us today?
Well, first, before we start to talk to Jonathan, I wanted to emphasize how nothing is even close to perfect when it comes to computers. Okay. Everybody in computers has an innate ability to be very shallow and short-sighted when it comes to developers and creators. And I know this because I developed code for well over 10 years. You get this tunnel vision of just eyes on the prize and you shoot for that thing. And you never think outside. That's why when you develop in teams, things get done in some aspects much better because you have two people thinking about different things. So it can help the process become more complete, I'll say. When it comes to computers and with Jonathan, accessibility, a lot of companies don't even consider, don't even think, don't even have it come into their gameplay of accessibility. And it isn't because, they're being rude or they don't care kind of attitude, I believe. I believe it's just short-sightedness. They just think, we have this goal, we have to meet this goal, here's what we want it to do.
I don't think so, Dor. I think it's more about money, wouldn't you say? Like looking at majority of what could they put their time and effort in that's going to please the most amount of people. I mean, the way I look at it from a business point of view. I could be wrong. Well,
I'll say in the Microsoft and the Mac world, that is possible. I can't say it isn't. But in the Linux world, you have developers where if they just did one little extra thing, then their software, their desktop, their operating system would be much more accessible. And it's a simple matter of they didn't know that's all they had to do kind of thing.
Well, then, yeah, if that's the case, that's great.
Now, you might say, well, they're on a time thing. They're just rushing to get it out the door. From everything I heard, I've seen, a lot of them don't even rationalize this would be a good thing to put in.
Right.
And when you do communicate with them, or at least when Jonathan does, it seems like the majority of them are at least they have a positive attitude about it. And they stop and thinking like, well, that isn't really hard. But I'm sure if Jonathan would ask, well, why didn't you do it? They would just be like, I don't know.
Right. I got what you're saying.
And I mean, now this is actually a huge topic because there's all different kinds of accessibility than needed. I mean, you have like Stephen Hawking's type person where he can basically move his eyeballs and he can control his breathing. And that's it. And then you have users that basically don't have appendages. You know what I mean? And then you have users that are blind. You have users that are deaf. And a lot of programmers, the way I think about it, it doesn't even cross their mind. Right. And it could be, like you said, let's hit the mass population, as many people as we can right now.
Well, I was thinking more of like maybe not an open source community. I was thinking more of like a corporation that's out to make a lot of money. But when you brought it up that like this might be something that they just overlooked or didn't even think about, I think you're more on the spot with like more of the Linux population.
Well, I mean, that's really what we're here to talk about. But I usually try to blindside you in the beginning. But and to be honest, the one of the main reasons I like having Jonathan on the show is everything he brings us, everything he talks about, it's really honestly not a selfish thing at all, because if it's more accessible for everyone, it is even a better operating system for me. It's a more complete operating system. I then can go to someone at work who is vision impaired, blind, and say, yes, I know for a fact you can use this.
Right. Good idea.
You know?
Good idea.
And on a lot of times, a lot of software, I know like the entire KDE desktop is virtually not accessible. Mumble, I love Mumble. It's not accessible. I mean, you know, some of the tools I take for granted as being really easy to use and I like using, they're unusable. And I don't think it's the creators of them even, dare I say, thought about it. And I don't want to make it seem like they're ignorant and they're, you know, just, you know, we're so big and we're so good kind of thing. It's just as a developer, you get that tunnel vision. You know, that's what I want. That's what I want. I need that right there. Gotcha. And then when you do it, and that's why everything is vulnerable when it comes to security. Same kind of thing. They don't think about how can I harden this path right here. No, they think of, let me get to the next one. And let me get to the next one. And let me get to the next one. So I think everybody honestly should do their part, make sure their voice is heard, and to tell us how to do it, amongst other things, we have Jonathan on tonight's cast.
Sweet. I love having Jonathan on.
Trust me, I know. And I think the first thing Jonathan would talk about was the Northeast GNU Fest. Is that correct, sir?
Sir, GNU Linux Fest.
GNU Linux Fest. I don't even know what I said, but I say yes.
You said GNU Fest, which is, just as bad as just saying Linux, I think, because without the two, you wouldn't have, an operating system. So,
sure. So, what do you got going on, Jonathan? Any updates on the fest?
Yeah, we have the second annual fest going on. It'll be March 17th of 2012. It's a Saturday. And this year we have, it's going to be drastically different, I think, than last year. It still has the same focus on free software, but this year we're going to be going a full day. Last year we went from like 10 to, I think, 4. This year we're going from 9 to 6. We're going to have BSD certification classes for $75. The talks will start at 10 o'clock and end at 6. And the BSD certification will be from 8:30 to 10. That way, if you're taking the test, you will not miss a talk. You won't have to sacrifice anything as far as that goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was the best way. Me and Drew Levine, she is overseeing the test, and we talked about it. She was like, it'd be great if you could do it like in the morning or after the fest. And I was like, well, after isn't really a good option, so let's shoot for the morning. And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. That way no one would miss anything.
That's a great idea.
Cool. Yeah, I'll say a lot of fests that I've seen, they basically almost insist that you have to pick and choose. Do you want to take the test? Do you want to go to this class, or do you want to see this talk or talking? So separating everything, having everything well organized, I think is a benefit to everybody involved.
Yeah, and speaking along those lines, we only have one track of speakers, unlike a lot of the other fests where they could have 3, 4. I think Scale this year has like 5. So there's 5 tracks going on at once. There's 5 different talks going on at once. And with our fest, we only have one track. We try to bring home run hitters for every talk, and that way you won't be disappointed, and you won't have to choose, oh, well, I mean, there's 3 people talking at once. Who's worth missing? I hope I really hope the conference is recording everything. That way I can go back and listen to it. But there'll be none of that. So you'll be able to see everyone you want to see, one track. And like I said, we try and bring home run hitters for every talk.
Yeah, I did have to do that at OLF when I went. There was a couple times where I basically was like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I said to myself, just like you said, well, I guess I'll be able to catch it online. And, not to discredit them, but it's been almost 4 months and the content is not available yet. Sometimes, there's post-production and editing and things that have to be done, and they don't want to release garbage. They want to try to make sure everything's nice and neat. So, and it's all a volunteer basis. So I'm still waiting.
Still, I would release the raw footage at least, and maybe in like a little. You don't have to make it the headline, but put it in the corner of the screen and say raw footage here.
Yeah. Well, I guess speaking of capturing all of the content, Bruce Patterson, who is from DistroWatch, has been volunteering with me and my business partner Mike. So we've had an additional help this year, and he's been bringing a lot to the table. The first thing is